I'm Dan, and this is 10,000 Hours of Indie, a podcast exploring new music and delving deeper into what goes on in the background of the independent music industry. I'm a musician and passionate music lover, and I wanted to delve deeper into new music in the independent scene around the world. I also saw this as a chance to help artists connect and share their stories, so if there's someone you hear and you want to find out more about, every podcast has links in the show description. Get involved, help this community grow, follow on the 10,000 Hours of Indie socials, you can find all the links in the show description. And also feel free to email me about anything music related, 10,000indie@gmail.com. I'm open to any ideas and love listening to your promos. 10 years into their time together, math rock duo Bicurious are still proving their name is apt, having released 2 albums, the first almost solely instrumental math rock and the second filled with vocal hooks to entice listeners further. They're about to release an EP, Afterthoughts, which includes 3 songs which didn't fit their last album and also 4 acoustic versions of tracks from it, which actually fit really well together. Taryn and Gavin, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks very much for having us.
Yeah, it's good to have you back, and you've just finished the European leg of your latest tour. How did it go?
I thought it was good. Yeah, it was kind of like a little bit spread out because I had a baby in the middle, so we had to kind of take a few months break. But we still have a few dates in Germany, but I guess that's for the promotion of the next release, I suppose.
Yeah, we did 3 gigs in France, and then next up is we've the UK dates next month in April, and then as Taryn said there, we're playing some gigs in Germany then in May, I believe. So but it was good. As Taryn said, it was a while since we gigged, but it was good fun, and 3 very different gigs.
Do you feel like you're gaining some momentum on the live scene in Europe now, because you've been doing this a while?
We don't tour as much as some other bands do, and therefore it's not our momentum is slower, especially in Europe. Like in the UK, we notice a lot more faster development, like more people at our shows at every tour. But in Europe, it's getting there. Like I think the France is okay, and then Germany is the one I'm kind of the most excited about because I live here. I live in Germany, and I just feel like it's, everybody says it's like the second biggest music market in Europe, so yeah, it's the most exciting one, and I think it's only the second time we're going to play there this year.
10 years together now. How does that feel when somebody says it to you?
It's funny because I feel like you're the first person to actually have said it apart from us, because even when Taryn, you said it to me just before I think the French tour, it's like, it's our 10 year of a band coming up. Yeah, it's cool though. I think it says a lot though. Like it's a lot of bands now don't, last for 10 years. And I think it's only, I don't see it stopping as well, We do it our way, and I think we've made it work. And I'm quite proud of that, to be honest. So yeah, it's actually really cool.
You've been more aware of it then, if you were the one to mention it.
I also met my wife, was it the year before we started the band? So I just had my 10 years of knowing my wife last year. So I kind of the two of those kind of things go together for me, the wife and then the band. Otherwise, I probably would have remembered as well, but not as easily. It's just weird because it's been 10 years and people will change a lot in 10 years. We both just turned 30, so we had obviously just turned 20 when we started the band. I feel like between 20 years old and 30 years old, you do some amounts of growing up and changing and stuff. So we're both very different people than we were 10 years ago, but I think that's also cool in a band to see the difference in the music that you make together and the difference of how you make music together and stuff. So yeah, it's really, really fun and interesting.
You've got this new EP out, and you've finished off 3 tracks which didn't fit the last album, and you've got 4 acoustic tracks there. Whose idea was it to sort of do this and put those together?
Our manager Alex kind of pushed us to at least finish the 3 sort of electric songs, let's say, because I think myself and Gav, we were kind of just happy to let them go in a way. We hadn't really thought about it too much, myself anyway. the drums were recorded in like an amazing sounding room, so it would be a waste to like let them go to waste. So we did that, and it was really fun. And then the acoustic parts were more me, because I've done a lot more acoustic music than I have in the past, and I really enjoy it. And I think especially now with these songs being a bit more singy and a bit less like math rock riffy kind of songs, they lend themselves a lot more to being played acoustically. And some of them were actually written like originally on an acoustic guitar, so I kind of really wanted to like show people how they could sound in that way as well.
How about for you, Gavin? There's a lot less for you to do on an acoustic track.
Yeah, but I think I had this discussion with Taran and Alex, who Taran mentioned there. I really like when bands do like acoustic kind of versions of their songs. Like I listen to a lot of like funk music, I suppose, like NoFX or Lagwagon. Do you know like Joey Cape? I think he does some stuff where he like has they have acoustic versions of like those songs. Or there's an example I brought up, I know, while we were mixing it and stuff. Alexis on Fire, they only put it up on Spotify and like streaming services recently. I forget the name. Is it Rituals? Maybe I'm just making that up in my head. But it's basically the B-sides of Crisis. I think most of it's from Crisis, the Alex on Fire album, where it's acoustic versions, and I really like it. And I always find it annoying sometimes when there is like acoustic versions and drummers try and add drum. Do you know what I mean? It sometimes doesn't work. They're probably some of my favourite parts of the album, to be honest.
I was just saying, it's also very funny because Gavin does not like Cajon at all. It's like that's kind of an obvious thing that you would put like on an acoustic track, but like no.
It'd be different if I was like a Cajon player. Do you know what I mean? Because see people who play Cajon, like Jamie Kelly, who is one of our friends. But like, I think just if you do go from drums to Cajon, I just don't like it, to be honest.
I think it's weird though for me, because we've never done something like this. We've never released like something that wasn't like the main thing. I was always very wary of like releasing something that you're not 100% sure is like the best possible thing. But it's also, I guess, a little bit fun to see how people react to it, because in my mind it's like, oh, like what if people don't like it as much as the previous thing? They're going to stop listening to us forever, you know? And it's like, no, that I don't think that's actually going to happen. Like they'll just be like, oh, I prefer the latest stuff, but I'll probably listen to the next thing that they release.
Is there some apprehension from your part regarding the acoustic tracks? Because obviously you normally flood your guitar with effects and things when you're playing live, and this is really stripped back.
No, I'm not apprehensive toward it at all. I'm really happy that people can actually see that I really like playing acoustic music. To be honest, like the thing about being able to play guitar, the way that I play those that I recorded those songs acoustically is actually like way more simple than the stuff that I would do like with, you know, an electric guitar when we play the songs for real. Because obviously I took out all the riffs, I just replaced them with like just chords, and some of it is finger picking and stuff, but it's much more simple, I think.
So let's talk about the first single, Papa. It's 5 minutes 50, which is very in keeping with the last album's feel, hard edge driving, and has a great guitar hook. How did this not make it onto the album?
I suppose the other mainly instrumental, I suppose, and on the last album, Your Life Is Over Now, it was all the other tracks were singing, and I do think it's a banger as well. But if you're to compare it to those other songs, it doesn't fit the vibe as much. In terms of an album, when I think of it and listen to Your Life Is Over Now, it's all very stylistically similar, and the vibe is very similar, where I do feel Papa, it just doesn't fit as well. Not saying that this song is worse than those songs, I just think the vibe is just different.
It would have fitted probably a lot more on the first album, on Reconstructed, because that album was more mathy, more instrumental.
Does Irish Summer Day have a guest vocalist on it, or was that all you?
No, that was all me.
Magic Marker.
Oh, was it Magic Marker?
My wife is singing on Magic Marker. Mostly just because I was like recording the song at home, and I was like, oh, it'd be cool if someone could sing on this, and she was just there, and I was like, do you want to try? And she was like, I don't even know how this works. And so I just stick the Logic onto loop record. I just put the headphones on, and I was like, just sing. And she did for like 10 minutes, sang the same chorus over and over and over. I came back and I just kind of took the best bits of it. But yeah, I think it's cool because actually that song is about my relationship with her as well. So it kind of works out pretty cool.
I actually prefer the acoustic version of Uncle Kevin. For me, because of the content of the song, it almost seems like it has more power when the chorus comes in.
Yeah, it is. It is a very like melancholic, sad song. I guess it was an obvious one to do acoustically because of that. And there's so many layers of acoustic guitars. And I guess when when they all come in during the chorus, there's like basically a wall of acoustic guitars. And yeah, I agree that it's quite powerful. I really like the normal version, but yeah, I can understand why you would say that for sure because of the emotional sort of side of it, I guess.
Is there somebody playing cello on that track as well?
There's so it's a girl, a friend of mine from Leipzig, from where I live. She plays cello, and I think he plays on all 4 acoustic tracks. I think her name is Stella, and she's great. So shout out to Stella.
How close are these acoustic versions to how you originally wrote the songs?
That's really hard because Uncle Kevin went through like a bajillion different sort of ideas before like settling onto the final one. So I would say quite different. Magic Marker, same, quite different, because that sort of like finger picking thing, that was never a thing for Magic Marker. Magic Marker came about from actually playing an electric guitar. Actually, at the start of Magic Marker, when I first started messing around with it, it was like I just thought I'd written like a Biffy Clyro song. It's really weird. Irish Summer Day, that one is quite close, especially the intro, the kind of guitar intro bit. That was written on acoustic originally. Sorry, yeah, Crumble was the one I was talking about. That was originally written on acoustic. But the funny thing about Irish Summer Day, right? That originally was not a Bicurious song. That was like I have my own kind of acoustic project called Snail Tape. Just like a side project that I do from time to time. That was one of a song that I'd written for myself years ago, and for Your Life Is Over Now, I decided to try and make it into like a rock song, and actually it worked surprisingly well. But I still play the acoustic version like by myself when I do like little solo acoustic gigs, and so I thought it'd be cool to actually play the original acoustic version as the Bicurious acoustic version, because it's weird. It's kind of like a Snail Tape song and a Bicurious song at the same time, and I played the Snail Tape version on the Bicurious EP, which is kind of cool for me.
Pretty much in all the release biographies, you always mention Tom Peters and how important he is to what you do. Tell us what he brings to the band when you're recording.
He's very kind. To be honest, I used to find before Tom sometimes recording quite like daunting. Like sometimes it'd be fine, sometimes it wouldn't be as good. And I think what Tom is very good at as a producer is kind of making you feel comfortable and kind of realising, this is from my experience, and I'd say you agree with this, he's very good at realising like the personalities in the room and working with different personalities and different people's like temperaments. I'm not sure that's the right word, or like, I think it was something we joked about before with him, but like, who's the guy who produced Korn's first album, you know, where he's like throwing shit at him and stuff. Jonathan Davis, like, Tom's the complete opposite of that, and I think that's what we need. But I think he's just so good. He's such a nice guy, and I think he's really good at making you feel comfortable and being nice and easy, which is what I need. He's done so much. Like, we love the Alpha Male Tea Party albums, his own band. That's why we first originally started working with him. But I think he's just, I don't know, he really brings out the best in you. I think that's down to him as a person. I know that sounds like such a kind of almost a simple thing to say, but from my experience recording with people, not everyone has that skill, and that's one of, I think, that he's just a really nice, good guy, and that really helps in the recording process.
He knows how to manage somebody's emotions in the studio as well, because sometimes it's so important for performance that you're feeling good in your head, and sometimes you might be doubting yourself. For example, for me, when I recorded the vocals for Your Life Is Over Now, it was my first time doing a full album of vocal recording, and his like constant feedback as we were doing takes was like vital to me because I just needed somebody to tell me that I was doing good, to kind of get my confidence up and to keep like delivering like solid takes. And he made the whole process like really enjoyable for me, which if I had done it with the wrong person, it could have been a really horrible process because it was very daunting to do that for the first time.
A question for you to think about. What would you say is the biggest strength of the other member of the band?
Is multitasking? I'm not sure if that's the right word. It's probably simplifying it. But the fact that Taran has a family and can tour in a rock band and keep that all balanced. I suppose multitasking is the right word, but it's a lot bigger than that. I don't think I'd be able to do that, just like manage like all that stress and like everything, keeping it all balanced. So I think that's pretty cool.
Well, I would say, like, first of all, playing drums. Like, he's very good at playing drums, but like not crazy complicated drums, like, you know, loud and efficient and big drums. And also in terms of like writing music, he's very like easy to work with, and also touring. Like, Gav is just a very easy person to work with when it comes to most things in the band. We're both quite non-confrontational, so like we don't really get into arguments. We give each other space.
Were you two friends before the band, or did you meet to form the band?
We met in a night out when we were in college, and then we became friends at the start of the band. But it wasn't like we met in like an advert or something, you know, like let's start a band. It just kind of happened. But yeah, we became friends as the band started. Yeah, it's 10 years. That's mad. Yeah.
We'll move on to your social media. Why frozen yogurt?
What?
I think he's referring to, there's like either a photo or a video of us eating frozen yogurt in Toulouse in France last year.
I think that's the one.
That was really good.
To be fair, the previous picture was you eating biscuits, probably in the same place.
No, I think that particular tour was just a lot of good food. But I remember that when we got that frozen yogurt, I feel like there was like 3 frozen yogurt shops like on that same like street. There was a few different frozen yogurt shops, so we were bound to go to one of them.
That's a strange question though, because like, why not? Or is it more like, why frozen yogurt as opposed to ice cream? Or is it like, why display your frozen yogurt consumption? To that I would say, why not? You know, when in Toulouse, just get some frozen yogurt. And to be honest, I don't know if I prefer frozen yogurt or ice cream.
Ice cream.
Probably ice cream. But like those frozen yogurt places when you can pick your own toppings and stuff, that's pretty fun.
See, that's why I asked the question, because it brings up a whole world of thought. There's also a video of Gavin at Stendhal Festival, really giving some to the crowd at the front. You really seem to be taking on the hype man thing to a new level nowadays.
Yeah, I kind of just started doing that. I don't know. Yeah, I do that like every gig. Whether there's like Stendhal where I feel like there was a good lot of people, or if it's like 2 people. Like, I like doing it as well. I like interacting with the crowd. That moment for me, that whole like be in the moment, that to me, that was like in between stuff, really gives me a chance to like be in that moment as well, because I'm obviously not concentrating on what I'm playing, and I can really be in the moment. And I like interacting with people, especially in that capacity. When I go to see a band, not all the time, it depends on the band, you know, and they interact with the crowd. I think it fits the music as well. And it's while Taran has fucking so much stuff to do in between songs, like fixing stuff with his pedals and tuning. Yeah, and it's different every night as well. The people are different every night. It's not like I have a plan what I'm going to do. I'm making it out as if it's like this big thing, but all I do is like point at people and go, eh.
Coming from a generation where drummers sit on a stool and keep their head down and don't say a lot, it's nice to see you get up and interact. There's not many drummers who do interact with a crowd. Yeah,
that is true. I feel like it's kind of, obviously other people do it, but I don't know. It's part of my thing now, and I love doing it. I don't know. I grew up though, like, you know, with listening and seeing bands like Metallica, and like even some bands I'd be in, like Motley Crue was on them, like fucking Tommy Lee, you know, like when I was growing up and that kind of stuff. And I think that whole, like, I don't know, I suppose 80s metal in a way, that is still there, in my my own way. And I suppose, yeah, that's it is a touch of that, I suppose. But it is, yeah, because so many bands now I feel are so like, they're too cool to be there and stuff. And by me going out and doing that stuff, I feel it's also me being like, I appreciate you spending your time coming to see us when you could have, say, if it's at a festival like Stendhal, where they could have been at another stage seeing it. So it's like, it's kind of me going out as well, being like, thanks for coming.
So I don't think I've asked you this question before, but who came up with the school sports kit style on stage? The white sleeveless tees and the shorts, which you've always worn.
I know at some point we were wearing vests, and shorts. But I know when it came to the white one anyway, we went to record the video for Sleep, and Sean Smith, who was directing it, it was a black background, so we couldn't wear black. So we're like, we'll wear white. And we wore white since.
Well, at the very start, I went to Penny's, which is Primark, and got one turquoise vest and one purple vest, and then one turquoise shorts and one purple shorts. And basically, one of us had turquoise top and purple shorts, and the other one had the opposite. That we did that for the first couple of gigs, and it was super ugly, and we stopped.
I was just thinking there, it's a nightmare enough trying to find white t-shirt or white vest and tracksuit bottoms to put into shorts. Imagine trying to find that before every tour.
But basically, after we realized that it was horrible, we switched to just the same thing but black, because we wanted something that's breathable, because we like to be quite high energy on stage, so it's important to be able to sweat without being uncomfortable. So we had black. I think we were let's do black vests and black shorts, but then we had to do that video, and basically the director was like, if you wear those clothes, you're basically just going to be floating heads.
I think that would have been quite cool, to be fair. But
to be honest, now that I think about it, we probably should have done that just for the crack. We were like, this is our first real video, it needs to look cool, not stupid.
Wednesday the 13th of August last year, you played in London with Adebisi Shank, who I know you have been a massive influence on your music over the years. How was that?
I was actually thinking of them there, where when Taran was saying the breathable thing, Vinny from that band wears a big mask on stage, which that'd be horrible to play in. So I think we did a better shout. Just in shorts and wearing a mask. And he's had the same mask apparently for the entirety of the band. That was amazing though. That was a real full circle moment, I suppose, because I never got to see them live. I don't think you did either, Taran. So they're always, a band that people would, when they'd see us, they'd be like, oh, you really remind me of Adebisi Shank. And I think actually seeing them live as well, it made more sense as well, because you were talking about earlier, but they do a lot of the hyping of the crowd and stuff as well, Vinny and Lara. So it was great. It was amazing. It was awesome to support them, especially recording that first EP and the more instrumental stuff. We always wanted to make our instrumental tunes hooky, and I think they're kind of the definition of being an instrumental band and hooky. So yeah, it was really cool. It was kind of a bucket list almost thing, I suppose, supporting them. And I never thought they'd get back together.
Well, the drummer was actually our teacher in college, so I knew him.
I have a good story actually about the day before I think we played that gig. So I worked in a music shop in Dublin, and it was the day before the gig, and I was playing their first album, and this guy walked in, and he was like, what the fuck is this shit? And I was like, and I just had enough, in those days in work, and I just went, music. And then the guy turned around and he goes, I'm only messing, I'm Vinny, I'm the bass player with the mask. And I never actually met him. I didn't know what he looked like. So I was like, oh, and he was really nice then. We talked for ages, but it was very funny.
Apart from Papa, which you obviously played, did you play any of the other new songs while you were doing those European shows?
No. And even Papa we only played it at a few shows. We played it in France, obviously, because it's in French, but I found it difficult. I don't know if I enjoyed singing it in French, to be honest, live, especially in France. I think singing in French in the UK or something is fine, because most people wouldn't understand what I'm saying, but singing in French in France was kind of weird.
But you speak fluent French, don't you?
Yeah, but it's I write all of my lyrics in English, so writing lyrics in French is kind of strange for me. And then for them to be heard by French people, it feels very whoa, I'm naked right now in front of these people.
So you've got a 5-date UK tour planned through April, 3 dates in Germany in May, plus 2000 Trees Festival in July. What a lineup that is, I'd like to say. Is there anything else you've got planned live?
I think there's more stuff being booked at the moment that's not announced. We can say it, we booked the gigs. But there's, I think, some Irish dates being confirmed for like later in the year. Possibly more European dates later in the year, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But I do know, I think there's some Irish dates around November possibly, to do with like 10 years of the band and stuff. So
another one of those scratch your head questions. It's been 10 years. What's been your best show so far?
The last time we played in Bristol, that to me, I don't know, there was something about that where it's just like, because Bristol I feel is where we've like built up the most crowd, but I remember throughout that tour day we were basically headlining all day or with Gallops on before us, and I remember when we recorded the first EP, us on the way one of the days tracking, and Taran put on Dark Jewel by Gallops, and me being like, who is this? And being like, this is awesome. And I remember, similar to the BC Shank, kind of being like, we should be like, you know, trying to be that dancey kind of mat rock band, which is kind of Gallop's whole thing. And I remember, I don't know, it was really cool that they were on before us, but I remember then also being like, this is mad that like we're headlining this. But then when we came on, the crowd, I remember just reacting to us, was really fucking cool, and they knew all the lyrics to like the album with lyrics. And then it was just fucking, that was awesome. It felt like a real fuck yeah moment, you know. It was just really cool, and a lot of familiar faces who've seen us through Bristol and Arctangent through the years.
I don't know. I mean, the first thing that came to my head was probably one of the Arctangent gigs, because it's like the biggest crowd that we've ever played to, and it was also not just like a random big crowd. It was like a big crowd of people who, a lot of them knew the songs. So I was like, really, really cool. Especially since I think, I can't remember which one it was. I think it was like the middle one, because we played it 3 years in a row. I think it was like the middle one where we did like a line check before starting the set, and I did one of those things where I go like, hey, like, you know, to test the mic, and then the crowd just started saying hey, and then I was just like, you know, being like, hey, oh, and then they would say, hey.
Yeah, your Freddie Mercury moment.
Yeah, basically that. And it was really cool. Like, I'll never forget that. It was really fun. When you're a band like us who kind of enjoy buzzing off the crowd and like, you know, interacting with the crowd, and the louder the crowd is, the better. That was a cool show for that, because anything you did on stage they responded to. Okay, more controversially, what's the worst show you've ever played? I have one memory of something that I'm like not very proud of, and it's not a funny thing. It was when we were playing in France, the very first time we played in France, like I think it was in 2017, and I think it was the second show that we played. It was in this tiny village in the mountains. It was like a ski resort, but it was the off season, so there was nobody there. And we played in this little bar, and there was basically like 3 or 4 people there. And I was being really stupid, and I was like, you know what? There's nobody here tonight. Let's like jam, you know, like instead of playing our songs, because it doesn't matter because nobody's there. And we did that, and it was like we had a jam, and it was like kind of bit shit, you know. Like we played the songs, and then after a while, I was like, let's jam because this sucks, man. And then like it's like 21-year-old cocky dickhead, and like the jam wasn't particularly good, and then we played the set, and then I mean we had a good night because like we had the bartender like locked us into the place. Well, no, it was a lock-in, but like he didn't lock us into
It's like prison for the night. We didn't like that.
No, I meant to say he like, it was, is that what they call it? A lock-in? I feel like, yeah, right?
Yeah.
And basically he locked the place for other people that couldn't come in, and then he just kept serving us alcohol like all night. But for my decision of being like, let's jam on stage is something that I from that day on, I was like, I'm never going to do that again, because that's quite like disrespectful to the 4 people who showed up, because it's like, you know, you guys are not good enough to hear the real song. We're just gonna have fun because this is not enough fun, you know.
That's so funny. I couldn't really remember that, and I wasn't expecting you to say that. That's where I'm like, oh. if you listen to Alpha Male Tea Party's podcast called The Long Drive Home, you will hear like fucking horrendous stories, like from funny to like fucking horrible, you know. The one that I went with, which was kind of at the end, it was basically we played a gig in, I think, Chester, and there was 2 people there, and at the end of the gig I always remember the promoter was like, that was a great gig, and I remember being like, you didn't even watch the gig, there's 2 people there. But at the same time, we finished that gig and we laughed about it, you know. So like, I think we're quite lucky in that way that we haven't had fucking absolutely horrendous gigs.
This is not like a bad gig, but something funny that happened was one time when in Cork, when Gavin would get really into it, he decided to like frisbee a cymbal into like, which is actually, thinking back about it, was very dangerous.
Yeah, it is. I threw it into a corner, but that was also the problem.
It wasn't into the crowd, but it was like to the side of the stage, and basically like it somehow the cymbal just cut the power cable clean for the entire stage. We had to stop the gig for 10 minutes while somebody fixed it.
I actually remember really enjoying that gig. I think though we were supporting Alpha Male Tea Party on that, and that was probably their worst gig, so I think we created the worst gig.
So the final question. What music are you listening to at the moment that people may not be aware of and should take some time to check out?
People probably already know them, but I'm listening to loads of The Armed at the moment. I'm like, I saw them opening for Biffy Clyro there, and I liked them already, but I think something about that set where they opened for Biffy Clyro with like fuck all people in an arena, and they were like, I mean, in the crowd, like really heavy, nothing like Biffy Clyro. And I don't know, that latest album, it's just something about that band that is so over the top. It's fucking incredible, and I actually don't think I've heard anything like them. If I was to compare them to someone, it's kind of like Dillinger Escape Plan meets 9 Inch Nails, but it isn't even like that. It's just fucking mental. And live, it's really cool. I'd like to see them in a small room. And I actually got tickets for Outbreak Festival, and they're playing that. And they're playing that with no barrier, which is going to be insane. So, The Armed, the latest album.
I've spent the last 2 or 3 weeks listening to the entire discography of Pinegrove. I think they kind of stopped being a band like in the last couple of years, but they're from America, and I actually googled them the other day because I wanted to know what people called the genre. But they say Wikipedia says it's a mixture of alt country and emo. So I don't know if that says anything to you, but it's like, to me it's kind of indie with like very heavily influenced by country music, but like all the good harmony parts of country music with this kind of sort of like emo kind of vibe to it. And they're my favorite band at the moment because the way that they make music is just so free and unique, and like, you know, rhythmically they kind of go between tempos like so naturally, and the singer has an amazing voice, such like a vulnerable voice, but it's so powerful at the same time. And the lyrics that he writes are just incredible. I'm just completely like in love with them at the moment. So yeah, that's what I've been listening to. Especially the second album, Cardinal it's called. So I would recommend listening to that.
So for people wishing to find out more about Bicurious, their website is www.bicuriousbandofficial.com, and they're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube and Bandcamp, although for some reason I've written Bamcamp. Afterthoughts by Bicurious is due for release via Big Scary Monsters on Friday the 15th of May and will be streamable via Bandcamp and all streaming platforms. Taran and Gavin, it's been a pleasure as always.
Yeah, likewise.
Likewise, yeah, thank you.